This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
Can Johnson C. Smith return to the CIAA Championship Game where they won last year and sparked a lot of heads? That's been the talk this offseason, Michael. And, recently, ever since we started doing our schedule releases, you get to see more of these teams and who they play in their fan base. And let me tell you this. One, Johnson C. Smith, they already start off the season against Albany State in the Hall of Fame game. So to the ones that are going to tune into that, make sure you tune into that and make sure you show support to the Black College Football Hall of Fame game. But Michael, I think this episode and this quick episode that we're going to do is just talking about Johnson C. Smith and can they make that return to the title game, because they're coming off an impressive season last year. But one thing about every season is teams get better each offseason, and you can figure out how to beat an opponent as the offseason goes. So my question to you is, do you think they can make the return?
Dude, I think Johnson C. Smith University definitely has a path to return to the NCAA Division II National Championship. The reason why I say that, dude, is like you just said, coming off an historical 10-2 campaign where they clinched their first CIAA football championship since 1969, if my information is correct. Dude, let me give you this breakdown right quick on why I also say that. So turn up your phones, ladies and gentlemen, and if you have earphones on, turn those up too. If you don't, if you're in your car, make sure you turn that up too, because what I'm about to do is I hope this message, especially if you are a John C. Smith University folk, come on in, and I hope the information I give you will touch your hearts as much as I possibly am trying to. Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of the 2025 CIAA Coach of the Year, Morris Flowers, the Golden Bulls have completely shifted program culture, moving from an underdog mentality to carrying a target on their backs as a regional powerhouse. Deuce, the question that you just asked me, path to the postseason, can John C. Smith, John C. Smith University return? They can. And I know I said this first time, but I'll keep saying it. To secure a consecutive NCAA playoff bid, the Golden Bulls must navigate a highly aggressive 2026 scheduling philosophy. The path breaks down into three core fillers, and make sure you write this down. And I hope that you're hearing me well. I hope you can hear me well. First thing, quarterback catalyst. Returning star quarterback Kelvin Durham, the 2025 CIAA Championship MVP, brings elite poise, having thrown for 285 yards deuce and 3 touchdowns in the title game to anchor the offense. Number two, navigating a Gillette non-conference. John C. Smith University opens with back-to-back games against fellow 2025 NCAA playoff teams facing Benedict College on August 29th before heading to Canton and dominating these matchups builds the necessary regional strength of schedule, basic SOS, points to survive selection committee of bubble criteria. Last thing I want to get y'all. Overcoming the CIAA rematch. Whose rival Virginia Union University is actively tracking a get back. That's why I put parentheses. Get back game against John C. Smith University dismantled them 45-21 in 2025 final. Splitting or sweeping the conference elite will be required to retain the crown. So, dudes, honestly, despite them having a 10-2 season, I say this all the time. You can't always be spoiled on success on what happened last year. You kind of have to take each year as a how can I put this? So the way I do it is that when it comes down to success, I don't really feed off of what happened last season. Even though, yes, what happened last season was good, it was phenomenal, it was historical. I loved it. We got a chance. But sometimes in reality, and I'm trying to make this make sense to y'all, not just because the team had a successful season last season, sometimes the team that was successful last season don't be successful the next following season. Or
Agreed.
or if they were successful last season, they become successful this season. So it's a 50-50 chance. It's really up to John C. Smith University players to have that mindset that J. John C. Smith is back and we're better, just like we were last year, but we're better than ever. That's the mindset. That's the goal that John C. Smith must have in order to make sure that what happened last year continues this year. But at the same time, I know I'm probably not making sense to nobody. That's okay. John C. Smith fan base, hear me clearly. Now, I'm not saying that John C. Smith cannot do what they did last year. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that in order to make that thing happen, to make that crown come back, to make to make that crown come back, John C. Smith has to start off with a bang. Every Deuce, I say this all the time. How you sometimes in reality, some people say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's true. That's true. But sometimes, y'all, it is how you start, but it's also how you finish.
I'm gonna
So
say
you
this.
want to make sure. Go
I
ahead,
hate
dude.
to cut you off. You mentioned how it's how you start. It's not how you start, but how you finish. Let me say this real quick. I'm gonna look at Southern's eyes because they did horrible last year. I'm sorry to put it like that. You can hide this. You can hide the G. I'm not being biased or nothing. Look, any Southern fan will admit they did horrible. But how they finish the season off? They beat their rival on the biggest
Yeah,
stage, probably their championship.
yeah.
How you finish? And look, I get. Look, teams. We see this all the time. Before last year, Southern was in the SWAC championship.
Hmm.
What they had one of their worst seasons in program history last year. So you can look at it. I look at it from both ways: from Johnson C. Smith as a winning program from last year, and then a D1 program that had a losing season. You never know how the season goes. Look, teams
No.
like Jackson State just have it good where they recruit really well, and they have an offensive genius in their head coach, and that they just consistently do well. Alabama State started to get back on track to catch up with Jackson State in the past previous like couple of years. Starting to catch the. Actually, if you really wanted to debate about it, they're kind of on the same level as JSU right now.
Yeah.
Look, teams will figure out how to come back, and teams will figure out how to be able to compete with you, and be able to compete because as the seasons go on, conference play, teams figure out how to play against these teams more and more. And if you're
Yeah.
stuck at the bottom of the pack and you're not seeing no improvement, where are you going? So look, I'm gonna say this from a winning side point and a losing side point. A winning team, you never know how a losing team can come back and switch their season up like that. So you never want to take your foot off the gas. So with Johnson C. Smith, yes, you won the championship last year, but I wouldn't come in high blow and say, oh, we're reigning champs. Nobody can beat us. No, I think any of the student athletes would know, uh, hey, look, we got to keep on our A game because any team can come upset us because you don't know what teams have, what their motivation is coming into this upcoming season. And from a losing side, like I said for Southern went out and they won. They finished the season on a good note, beating
Yeah.
Graham, and now they're going into their. If you hear some Southern fans they're not being too cocky right now because Southern fans are known for talking a lot. But I feel right now they know, okay, it's how we start the season that's going to determine how we can control and go through the season. Because Southern, the schedule looks pretty tough at some games. That's my thing. But for Johnson C. Smith, and I hate to keep jumping off track about Southern, but I think that was a point that I wanted to kind of make because I could see it from a winning side and a losing side. But for
Yeah.
Johnson Smith, Michael, you made a great point. I wouldn't come into the season writing saying, "Oh, we are reigning champs. Nobody can beat us." No, you need to keep your head on the swivel because any team can figure out how to beat you. Because I guarantee you, and I gotta look at the schedule, but if they play Virginia and Union again, that's a rematch, and for sure that they want to get their rematch and get their get back because Virginia Union felt like they shouldn't have lost because they were past champions. So
Right. And see, that's the thing, dudes. That's why I just said that That's why I put get back in parentheses because we all know how rivalries go. Because like you just said, it's like with Grambling and Southern. I'm pretty sure Grambling gonna want to get that get back with Southern. That really Grambling been trying to get their get back for these last four years. So now it's just like when it comes down to teams like Virginia Union. At the same time, and like I said, I'm not doing this to be biased. I'm not doing this to be negative. First and foremost, I do nothing but spread positivity among every HBCU. But I'm trying to keep it real with you. You can't always feed on success and what happened last season because I'm gonna be real with you, dudes. What if John C. Smith is not the same John C. Smith that we saw last season? What if they struggle this year? Or what if they are the same John C. Smith as they were last year, but they're even better this year? That's what I'm saying, dudes. It's a 50-50 thing, but it's up to John C. Smith. When I mean by up to when I say it's up to John C. Smith, I mean this. I mean this right here. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. The players have to know that just because we lost some pieces, we still have some pieces that made us successful last season. It started with the quarterback. I just said that it's always about how you start. And I know, some people say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's true. But at the same time, actually, I hate to say this, but sometimes it is how you start, but it's also how you finish at the same time because you want to make sure that you start well, and then you want to make sure you finish well. So dudes, I don't even remember what John C. Smith schedule was like, but at the same time, they have to kill. Yeah. Let me say that they have to have that killing mentality, that killer mentality. That we're gonna start the season off with a bang, and we're gonna finish the season off with a bang. But we're also gonna make sure that we win it again like we did last season because that's the thing that you gotta have. You got to have the right pieces. You gotta have the right data. And dudes, there was a post I saw on Instagram that kind of touched me. In order to have a championship team, hear me clearly. In order to have the championship team, you gotta have the right data, and you gotta have the right data in order to win a championship because it's gonna take more than just grabbing some itty bits and pieces. You got to have the right data to win a championship. That's what matters. It's all about having the right data and having the data championship mentality to make sure that we don't lose grip on what we had last season and we can transition on to this season. Like Coach say all the time, feed on this success and bring it on to this year. I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of coaches say. Grab whatever you had last year and bring it here because it ain't no different. It's a new season. It's a new modern time. It's a new schedule. But that does not mean that you can still not be successful and be the team that people could stand to lose to last season. But like Deuce just said, it could be there could be a possibly some upsets on this schedule. It could be. But at the same time, it's up to John C. Smith. And I keep saying it until your ears get tired. It's up to John C. Smith.
And I'm gonna read out their schedule really quick because I
Go
think y'all should do this. Okay, so and you got you open the season against Benedict. You play September 6th. You go to Albany, or you don't go to Albany. It's a neutral game because that is a Black Hall of Fame game. Make sure y'all tune into that. If any game, I want y'all to tune into all the classics. I feel like everybody should be tuning into our classic HBCU games because they're classics for a reason and they get invited for a reason. September 12th, you got Johnson C. Smith at Winston-Salem, Fayetteville State at Johnson C. Smith on September 19th. Then you got to bye. Then it's straight into conference play after that. And let me tell you this. Look, Johnson C. Smith, they look, if you're just looking off the bat of the eye, look, it will look like, okay, we can repeat as champions, but you never know how a team looks into their first 3 weeks. And that's your make, because look, I'm gonna say this, Grambling looks all right the first 3 weeks, and then they got to Prairie View and just went and it wasn't, I'm not gonna say they did horrible, but they just looked like just average. So I'm just, me coming into this season with any team, I just don't think that we should be hopping, on a train so fast, just going off the last season's success. We should continue to take it slow for the first 3 weeks. Look, I think right now, looking at the schedule, by September 26th, you can start to make out what team Johnson C. Smith is. But really, I wait into conference play because when you get into conference play, then you can kind of get a better feel. Good is not a word, a better feel, for how this team is going to perform going into the season. But we are at the 15-minute mark. Michael, did you have anything else to add on to that before we close this out?
Yeah. Let me also say this. Normally for me, it's really the first 3 or 4 weeks, depending on the schedule and how it's set up. Because I just pulled up the John C. Smith schedule myself. It took a time for me to get there because of some internet situation. But looking at this schedule, and you're right, Deuce. But basically looking at this schedule, you can do 3 weeks or you do 4 weeks. I'm gonna do 4 weeks at the same time. But like you just said, you made a valid point right there, Deuce. It starts with conference play, and you know I say this all the time. Sometimes it's good to start off well in non-conference, and then when you get into conference play, 2 things can happen. You can end up being the same team like you were out of conference, and come into the conference play and dominate the conference. I mean, Bethune Cookman did that. Even though I know that's baseball, but baseball, football, softball, whatever. It's really about how you start in non-conference play. That's what this is about. It's how you start in non-conference play, and it's also how you start in your conference play. Or John C. Smith. Let's say John C. Smith does poorly, but they do well in conference play. Or let's say um, they do well in non-conference, but they do poorly in conference. This I might have repeated myself. I apologize if I did, but if I did, hey, I'm spreading the message clear to you. It's really about how John C. Smith starts off, and then how they start off in conference play. And if John C. Smith can start off with a bang in non-conference, and they start off with a bang in conference, then we got something to talk about. We got something to talk about. I think John C. Smith does have a chance, though, dude. I say that. I would say that for everything HBCU. I don't care if your HBCU is struggling. Let me tell you something. The struggle is real. Yeah, okay, you can
I'm sorry,
whether it's
you
football,
say that,
basketball.
and I'm just thinking about them Valley comments. How they've been talking about they've been 0-12 for years.
Listen, dude. Even though Mississippi Valley, and you see what I'm saying? Because dude, didn't I just say that people do not respect Mississippi Valley because of the struggle that they've had for years? Didn't I say that? And now, and you see now the conversation is starting to come up. Listen.
I think that okay. Look, I'm gonna say this. I hate to jump because I know that Mississippi Valley is gonna have to be a talk for another time, and I mean we're gonna make it down the line.
Yes.
But man, and
There we go with a bang, huh?
it just bugs me because their school has so much pride, And I hate to say this when I posted the graphic, right? I
Yeah.
didn't realize I had the letters switched around, and I had MS Mississippi State Valley University Mississippi instead of Mississippi Valley State University. I didn't realize it, and
Yeah.
the passionate alumni and students were in the comments, fix it,
Yeah.
fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
Yeah.
I
And
fixed it, and now it's just like everybody just talking trash about them now, and I'm just like, dang.
see, dudes, let me tell you something. Just because the football team or basketball team, softball, baseball, whatever it may be, maybe not even soccer, even though the team is struggling, they still got a fan base that supports them. And I want to give a shout out to the fan base in the student section that are supporting their HBCUs, whether they're struggling, and that's okay. Because sometimes you have to start from the bottom to come your way back up. In the words of Drake, started from the bottom, now we're here. So I'm not sleeping on Mississippi Valley at all, because I think the sky's the limit for them, and it's just gonna take one good season to start off with a bang, and hopefully they can continue on as it might be a few years. Hey, it might even be this year. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It might be. Who knows? All I can tell you is you can't always feed on the struggle, especially, and you can't feed on the struggle with a struggling team. I get it. Mississippi Valley has not been that team, and that's okay. But I'm not gonna sit here and disrespect them. I'm not gonna sit here and say that, oh, Mississippi Valley never have a chance. That's gonna kick them out the sweat. No, Mississippi Valley belongs in the sweat because Mississippi Valley was Mississippi Valley back then when Jerry Rice was playing at Mississippi Valley. Look, Mississippi Valley is still Mississippi Valley, just like they were Mississippi Valley back then. It just takes the right data, like I just said before. Mississippi Valley, all they need to do find that right data, and they might have found it already. But if they didn't, that's okay. All it takes is that right data to kick off the season off with a bang. And thus, I believe Mississippi Valley State will have a chance. It's just a matter of time. And I will really be careful if to anybody who is talking down on Mississippi Valley State, because let me tell you something. It could be this year, and I don't want to hear nobody talking about, oh, it's just bad luck, just bad luck. No, 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 no. Y'all was so busy focused on the failures, but y'all wasn't seeing the upcomings of Mississippi Valley. So I believe Mississippi Valley will overcome those struggles in this modern season, and I believe in Mississippi Valley State. But Deuce, let me also say this right quick. I am so proud of John C. Smith for one reason, because they don't have no Power 4, Power 5 schools on their schedule. Hey, we ain't saying nothing about that. If you look at their schedule, you don't see no Power 5, Power 4 school on their schedule, dude. It's
Wait,
all HBCU competition.
and let me tell you this, for if you're thinking about on the D2 level, think about it of a D2 school just playing an FCS school. I mean, like FCS school, like how do I say it? We say like think of it like they would be playing South Dakota or like Jackson State. When you think of the D2 level, okay, so this I'm gonna say this before I close it out for the people that sometimes get confused with what we're saying. When we say on the FCS level, me and Michael, when we talk about Grambling, your SWAC and mid schools, sometimes me and Michael get upset when they're playing your Power 4, Power 5 schools. For your D2 schools, me and Michael try to make the case and say, look, D2 schools need to play their HBCUs, but they don't need to be going out playing these bigger, FCS schools. Like think about Lafayette, for instance, Villanova, Penn, Brown, North Dakota, South Dakota, Lehigh, schools like that. They don't need to be playing those schools, but play your HBCUs and play the teams on your D2 level. And that's how you get, I mean, it's how you can argue about it all day and people are gonna have their opinions for it. Tennessee State is playing Georgia that, I can never sit there and just agree with. I sat there and witnessed Grambling get smacked 7-0 in person at Ohio State. So it's not something that you want to see. And I'm telling you this now, a real somebody that's passionate for the program does not want to see their team lose like that. That's just embarrassing. But thank y'all for watching this. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. On to the next video. And look, like me and Michael said, we are back and we got so much action-packed content full of HBCU Central content. Thank y'all for watching, and make sure you, like I said again, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and all that. Thank y'all.